Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Astrology and Beyond. Today, with your host, Tatiana, also broadcasting for ANN Archetypal News Network. Today, we're going to take a look at the first half of August of 2025, where things accelerate and fly, and there's going to be so much forward momentum. And yet, there's also still so many things that we are reviewing and shifting. And while this shift energy happens, there's going to be a lot of inner transformation, which is where we want to put our energy because the energy is just going to move. This boat is leaving, so we better align with it. So sooner than later. So let's get into seeing a little bit of our energies. This could be extremely transformative this next 2 weeks into how we really think about our lives. Um, so let's look at this. So we're starting the month. uh, there's going to be like two major things I want to talk about really, which is the two kite formations that we will see particularly happening through August 7th to like the 14th. So really the second week is going to intensify this forward movement or energetic shift. So, what I'd like to talk about first is like starting this week, we are instantly noticing that we have an inconjunct from Venus in Cancer to Pluto in Aquarius. And all the while, we're still having these very like strong energies of change that have been put into motion already from obviously we know the big transpersonal planets Pluto, Uranus, and Saturn and Neptune having changed signs into this like air trine and the conjunction in this at this first degree of Aries, which is really important from Neptune and Saturn. So this is like the backdrop of how we, at a personal level, need to adjust our lives to these massive changing psychic energies. That this is the boat that has left, this is the big cruise ship, and remember, we're in the pool adapting our swimming patterns, but we're in the ship is not going anywhere else. So either we like where we're going or we're gonna kind of be thrown overboard, and that's like not fun. You see. So what's important is to really align with these shifting energies. Why? Because this exact conjunction of Pluto and Neptune is really bringing um, into our awareness the need to ground new dreams into reality, to ground. It might feel like reality does not satisfy us anymore to a certain degree. What we thought we had created, identities, ways of being, suddenly there might be things around us that start really showing such a different panorama that this can create enormous disillusionment. Saturn Neptune can create this feeling of hopelessness sometimes if we're not aligned with total trust in something bigger than when things are dissolving, because Neptune wants to help us dissolve any and old structures that are not conducive to our evolution as a species. So the alignment with Saturn Neptune at this time is the understanding that these new dreams are grounding, but we still have to trust that the process is not, this is like the first little tiny step of that process. So we can't have the big dream just now. We're just understanding the new things. And let's not forget, like, new technologies are going to come up, new things, new ways of seeing life, of seeing even reality and how reality gets created. I talked about this extensively last video, where we talked about how everybody's starting, well, everybody, I mean, the collective consciousness is starting to understand that the creation of reality has nothing to do with shifting it outside or forcing or doing something outside of ourselves. It's first happening inside of ourselves, and how our mindset really creates our experience. Now this is going to be mainstream. I talked about this, but it seems like for the longest time, this was not even in our consciousness. Our consciousness is we're out there. This is a physical reality, and we have to be able to maneuver or just mold physicality. Now it's kind of the opposite, and this creates an enormous uh, mental stretch because now we are seeing that it has nothing to do with how we mold physical reality, but how we mold our internal sense of self. And this is just going to accelerate. So, the invitation is to see what in the outside, that what we have created in our reality, it's not in alignment with our true soul's calling. And this is the time to restructure that so that the next level of manifestation comes in true alignment with soul. So in this sense, when we have that first starting the month, there might be a little bit of tension between what we value, what is important to us, and there could be a friction that forces to update us in how we relate to others. Maybe some power struggles with Venus and Pluto. There seems to be a need to review or reconfigure how we are in relationship and where there might be power dynamics that are no longer serving our evolution. So there might be a little bit of emotional intensity and control themes around our relationships, whether it is our closest people or people that we're really always in connection with. So there could be some deep cravings for safety. This is like from the Cancer energy that need to be at home, to feel safe, to feel deeply cared and nurtured. And then suddenly there could be the pressure that comes from the changing environment, the societal changes and adjustments to how we feel safe and truly what we value and what is the kind of society that we want to see where we can feel safe, included, and also part of something bigger and grander. At this time, we might see all the ugly side of that. What we don't want, what comes to the surface is the shadow. It's those things that are not supportive of safety, inclusion, love, and care. And for each person, that might look differently. It could be in the workplace, it could be with your family, it could be with your spouse. It also depends what part of the chart you have Cancer in your personal chart and where you have Aquarius. So you might want to look in that area of life. What is changing for you at a societal level? What things are needing deep transformation, which is expressed by Pluto, and how in that area of life we are dealing with the relationships that are, let's say, I could see that this is where we see the toxicity in relationships, because the toxicity comes up. Pluto pushes out the toxicity out of relationships and see helps us see with clarity what is no longer good for us, so we can make better decisions and alignment that will provide us with the capacity to move into more aligned sense of self, sense of safety and security. That obviously is not necessarily from the outside. Like I said, it's not the outside, only shows us the reflection of how we have stored patterns in ourselves where we have felt unsaved and uncared for. Maybe this is where we find those early woundings with the home, Cancer, right? The home and family, and those early woundings in relationships where the first contact is with mother and with our home environment, and how these things might come up in our relationships to reveal those early wounding, or those early difficulties that everybody to some degree will have had in this lifetime, some people more intensely than others. But what happens now is our relationships will start revealing those patterns more and more strongly, so we can make decisions around how to release that from our field or our energy. And this is a time where we can also start cutting those cords and cutting ties to things that are no longer serving our evolution. And letting go at this time is going to be really crucial, because the new things that are coming with these new energies, this boat that is already in that direction, mean that we we cannot bring the old self with this completely new way of existing or understanding of reality. So the invitation, while a lot of planets are still retrograding, especially Mercury retrograding, where we might feel maybe frustrated, or we're needing to stop and reconsider where our life is at and what our choices have been, what choices we have made that have brought us to our current realities, and how we're going to reassess those choices so that we can move into a different version of self. And this is all coming up right now if we want to use it um, uh, this time, if we want to use these transits in a positive manner, is to really take the time and stop. Now, the little Mercury retrograde story that I have to tell you about my life. Oh my God. Just when you think this is not going to hit me, well, I'm going to tell you what happened during this, what has been happening for me. First of all, I sprained my ankle. Okay, ankle sprain, right side. Where in my life am I being stopped to reconsider the path I'm walking? So I'm like, okay, sprained ankle, going too fast, doing too many things, not having the time to pause and reconsider. Am I walking the correct path? That was one thing. All good. Then I have a neck kink. Then this starts overcompensating. Left side, carrying weights or responsibilities, that maybe are not in alignment with the feminine side, which is spaciousness, groundedness, attracting from a place of heart and love, which is all of the divine feminine, is this energy. And we're talking Mercury in Leo. So where are we not being in alignment with our hearts? Leo is about the heart, about the soul, about our soul's expression. So, okay, misalignment. And then instantly my body says, oh, misalignments. Okay, what do I do about it? Okay, no problem. No big deal. I can keep pushing ahead. Pushing ahead. My car breaks down. The ignition. It's not working. Oh, okay. Ignition. Ignition. Spark. The car representing movement forward. Movement. This is not time to move. This is time to stop. Not try to force any new paths or anything. It's just to reconsider where we are. Time to heal. Time to reassess. Okay, that's that. Car broken. My partner's car breaks down too. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And this is just an invitation, again, even from my own soul, to say, hello, why are you so stubborn? Just plowing ahead in maybe a direction that's not the right one, or trying to do too many things and not focusing on the right things, or focusing on so many different things that we can't really have energy or space for what really, really matters. So you see, these are my lessons, and this is how these things show up. So for you, if something has shown up that is kind of stopping or preventing movement forward, what is this? What are you in your life needing to reconsider, reevaluate, and truthfully reevaluate where you feel that you are going to get truly nurtured? Because this is where Venus in Cancer shows it's the need and the desire and for pleasure that comes from true nurturance, from true healing. Now, I gotta also take this to part B of my experience. With this experience, I learned that I needed to be able to ask for help, and ask for help from people that I could trust and feel nurtured and cared for. So what eventually happened, oh yeah, and then I had a dehydration episode. Oh, forgot that one. Dehydration episode. I was supposed to be taking my partner for something important, and that morning I get lightheaded and I'm fainting, and I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. So then I end up in the hospital. Well, just trying to figure out what's wrong, or what could be happening. And it was just a dehydration episode. I was not mindful of caring for my body. And what happened? Dehydration, hospital experience. Cosmic 2 by 4. But through this experience, I was able to communicate with people around me I need help, I need some care. And then what ended up happening was so beautiful. And this is where, Jupiter in Cancer brings these opportunities to really see that when we align with love, with care, with compassion, and with compassion towards ourselves, instantly the love we give ourselves is mirrored out in the world. So what ended up happening is not only I had people helping me, giving me rides to the hospital, uh, people that came just to bring me food. And I was like, oh, how much do I owe you? And this friend, like, oh, absolutely nothing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what is this amount of care that is in my surroundings? So it's to notice what aligns you with the true essence of care, what that looks like for you, and to be able to weed out what doesn't feel supportive or caring to those experiences, people, or places that do support this sense of care and safety. And again, in myself, the reason why I can tell this story like this is because instantly when I got my car breaking down, I was like, okay, just remember, breaking down, I'm not going to panic about it. I'm going to just leave it be until I get the inspirations that are right. Why is my car broken down? That's not the question, is what's this showing me? So maybe this time, if I take it to stop and maybe ask for help, and then that's kind of how I can also assess, well, what is there out there that is supportive of my journey, and what is there out there that isn't? It's easy now to weed out those things and realize and really find this the sense of safety, care, and love for self. So there is also uh yeah, so this is the yeah, with this deep desire for emotional safety. um and at the same time, remember that Pluto in Aquarius is also bringing up the shadows of our collective society, basically where we have not been supportive of each other, where we need to make structural changes. And these there could be a lot of pressures that are from the old way of being, or the old structures, based on control, manipulation, top top down structures, force, like if the only way to survive in this society is you plow ahead, is if you like prove your worth. And we're starting to see that that is not the way we could create a society. We can totally create a society where there is much more spaciousness, not only spaciousness for each being to be who they truly are, but where everybody can be supported in that truth. That is the society we're trying to create. But for that, we're going to have to meet all these discomfort, all these this is not working kind of things, so that we can say, okay, then what would work? And what can I do to change my internal compass, and what things then I can do in the actual physical world, which will happen more once the all the big planets, transpersonal planets, are direct. It's more in February next year when things move back forward and into this Aries energy, Gemini and Aquarius energy more direct. And we have obviously right now Mercury's retrograding, so it's a lot of reflection and reviewing and restructuring. So during this time, until February, I would say, is a deep restructuring of reality. So when we jump into new realities, these are going to be completely, maybe totally different. So the capacity we have to detach and adjust to the changing or emerging realities, it's going to determine how easy or difficult this year is going to be, and that's up to us to decide. I know that I have been more and more detaching from the old dreams and illusions, and it's been a very deep grieving process, but I don't know how the universe will align itself to bring all the new energies and what really aligns with my essence. I don't know, but I do have to be open to it. So that's why I've been doing a lot of inner work, and I encourage you to do the same. What I have been doing every day, I have been doing without fault. When I wake up, I do a session of breath work. Simple, gentle breath work, not intense, holotropic, let's get rid of trauma breath work. No, just deep breath work, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose, but very conscious in rhythms, and allowing that to create a lot of space in my mind. And then feeling into the energy of love, gratitude, and and aligning with what I feel is the field that I want to live in, and that's it. I have not yet put concretely an image of how, and no, it's more like the feeling of what that looks like. So whatever changes in my reality, if anything, maybe there's only little things that are going to adjust in reality, or maybe there's gigantic things that will adjust. The whole point is that when we do these exercises and do it consistently, you'll see that at some point there's a bigger capacity for detachment, and this comes from also from Uranus, right? And you'll see that Mars and Uranus will be also in an interesting configuration where we're more able to move in directions that could create more freedom for our beings. So we will have more ideas as well, insights, ideas, and things come into our reality. And then we move. But the movement needs to be very meticulous. The movement forward is not let's change all of reality, it's little adjustments to the daily life. Maybe it's one little thing you change. For example, I gotta give you a little example of what I changed. I got a brand new recording studio. I mean studio, like brand new microphone and things because I thought, okay, this is going to do a little upgrade to what I think I want to do in the future, which is record more music. But that impulse was a little thing. It was not a giant thing, but now I'm using it even to record this video and have better quality. I want to be more professional in what I'm delivering for the world. So you see, this is a little thing I did. Practical, practical everyday life thing that I will improve something in my life. So for me, that's that. I have Mars in the 10th house, so obviously it's it's aligning with my professional and vocation and what I'm going to do for my career. So this is a little alignment that happened there with Mars. Anyway, I'm a little bit all over the place jumping, but let's jump into the Grand Kite configurations. So this is where I want to really touch into what what is really important at this time. So we have first we have obviously this Mercury retrograde with the Sun in Leo, still opposing Pluto, where we want to absolutely 100% be trying to hold the balance between those imminent changes or things that are changing around us and how we can, with our true, authentic voice, because Mercury is the voice as well, our true, authentic self. This is why it's tied to the Sun in Leo, where with our truth can we truly align to a society or a creation of new societal structures that are really going to be beneficial for all? So, if I'm totally aligned with my own truth and I'm able to speak it, voice it, and maybe at this time while it's retrograded, just journal it. So, to gain clarity, because what could happen is if we're out there trying to change the whole world right now, then there's no clarity. There might be a lot of confusion. Now, what is the positive thing about a lot of confusion and misunderstandings at this time? Well, this will force us to have clarity. If there's been lack of clarity, confusion, disillusionment, disappointments, difficulty communicating truth, maybe even fear around how we communicate, well, this is only going to force us to be more in that truth and more in that alignment and be able to share it with total honesty. So this might be uncomfortable for sure for because it requires a lot of of courage. And this comes also with the Leo energy, you know, it's like Leo speaks of of the self, of the soul. Now, this is where I want to go in depth now again. So this is really interesting because we're going to have this grand kite formation between Pluto. Like we know this is something that's going to be going on for a long time. This is the ship that just sailed. Is this little triangle here between these transpersonal planets. And these alignments on of the grand trine with other planets like Mars in this case, and this is on August 7th, and Mars will have changed signs to Libra. So while Mars is still in Virgo, it's that time to really organize things and get like weed out what's essential from what's not. we get your closets clean and get the mental closet cleared. This is, I cannot stress enough that the first week of August is get this mental closet clear, gain clarity, and start weeding out the unnecessary things that are cluttering your life. Now, when Mars moves into Libra, and we are going to be in the presence of this grand trine, all the while still holding this opposition of Mercury to Pluto, that again, this whole time is about this review process. And releasing mental obsessions is also very important about what we believe the ego needs and wants, to how our truth of our deepest soul truth aligns with what we want to create in the world. This is like quintessential. So uh and then there's another player here, with his Lilith, that we'll talk about also later, because Lilith is squaring Mercury and it's squaring Pluto. So, and it's also an inconjunct to the Saturn, Neptune, and to Uranus. So, this is what I call the big disruptive energy of this forward movement energy. So, the forward movement energy that is just fast, it's moving, it's all these ideas, it's all this new self, will be confronted by the very deeper forces. And this is the wild feminine, the one that was not invited to the party. And this can be very disruptive. This could be a very disruptive time where we will need to assess if we're being 100% authentic to who we are, or if we're still acting from places of shame, guilt, obligation. Lilith is like no shame, shameless. And so what's going to happen is that it can bring up a lot of disruption in our life if we're not really aligning with truth. All kinds of secrets will come up to the light. This is of the nature of Mercury and Pluto as well, where we can find out things that are so surprising. And also, how are we lying to ourselves is going to be really important at this time, because this Lilith energy will not allow us to lie to ourselves anymore. So the more you can journal that, journal it, journal it as much as you can. Also make it into, transform it into art as well. We're going to have this beautiful conjunction also of Jupiter and Venus coming up during the second week, which is almost like a balm. It's going to be a balm of creativity, a balm of feeling safe, confident, of feeling beauty and joy. So you see, while there's the disruptive energy of deep truth and transformation, there is a capacity to transform all of that through maybe an artistic practice, or maybe making changes to your home environment. This is the time where you can go, okay, maybe I need to get rid of all those old things that are cluttering my closets, cluttering my life, old energies, maybe from, maybe you're still holding on to maybe somebody that moved out of your home long time ago, or maybe could have been a child or a spouse, and you're still hanging on to things, for instance, that are just energetic dreads. This is the time to purge those things so that the new things, the new beautiful things that are more meaningful to you, your environment, how you feel good and how you feel safe and nurtured, can come into your life. This is a good time to, spend a little money in yourself and your home environment, and also in what makes you feel good. This is really important to get that. Now, be mindful, obviously, with Jupiter and Venus. Over splurging and overdoing it can also bring some consequences later on. So it's not overdoing it, it's really narrowing it down to what's important. And this Mars in Libra is also wanting to narrow down what's important, not only for ourselves, but also for what works for everybody. Mars in Libra is really about finding harmony and balance. Mars being in a sign ruled by Venus is what truly brings harmony and balance into my daily life, and how can I make steps towards creating more harmony and balance in life. What is my responsibility there? Like, again, like I said, this trine is going to help us take actions, realistic actions in our lives towards creating that. Now, what could feel difficult is that Mars wants to maybe go ahead in one direction, but this Saturn is halting the progress or is saying, not so fast. It's not jumping into the next thing like a crazy person. This is like, can we take a small step? So, this is where these are my points where I'm going to tell you what this energy will be very beneficial if we do these things. So, first, ground the vision. So, if you have a big vision, um, whatever big vision we might have, which is in alignment with also this Jupiter in Cancer aligning with what really makes us feel good, and the vision that will be brought by the Saturn Neptune conjunction, where we need to ground the vision. The vision comes also from aligning to a greater truth. So, taking small, concrete steps rather than overreaching. And this is going to be crucial. If you've been wanting to make radical changes, don't make the whole radical change just now. I said, just try to get the mental clutter out and get the little practical steps. Like, what is it the next thing that I need to do? Maybe it's to learn something. Maybe learn a new skill and then you enroll in a course and that's all you're going to do. Or maybe it's, like I said, maybe change something in your home. Get rid of old furniture, for instance, or declutter your space so you can see with more clarity. Uh, yeah, get something maybe for your work that is going to push or propel your work forward. One little thing. Two, balance idealism with reality. So Saturn and Neptune in Aries asks for inspired action, but warns against impulsive overcommitment. So this is where, there might be at this time several avenues opening. So don't jump into the first avenue that just opens. Make sure that if an avenue opens, test it a little bit. Why? Because when these planets go retrograde and Saturn and Neptune are going to go back into Pisces, and we're going to have a retrograde motion of all these direct planets, of all these uh, mm, transpersonal planets uh, going back into a previous way of being, only to just reassess whether or not the direction we're going is the right one, and the new avenues that have opened, which one of these avenues is going to be the most likely to thrive and succeed. And for this, we need to not just make all the changes right away. Just kind of hold it off, and do the adjustments inside. Do mental ego hygiene. This, I said, this is the Pluto Mercury. Pluto Mercury suggests journaling, shadow work, or therapy to clear old mental clutter. I'm telling you, old mental clutter, if it's still there, if you're still attached to beliefs, this is going to be very hard transit if we're not willing to take the time to do this work. Four, embrace innovation but verify it. So again, new things are coming into our lives from new technologies, new ways of doing things. Maybe there's a lot of like AI or new things are going to come, new tools, and they're great, but they might not be the right ones just yet, because there's going to be a flood of new inventions in the months to come. So just make sure that what comes your way is something that is really going to help you, and then just test it. Don't just go for it and buy the super expensive now AI everything thing. No, just test things out. And also notice that Uranus really provides these insights, and Uranus will be in a sextile to Mercury. So this is a time where if we take the time to really stop, we will have the capacity to see into the future, maybe an insight of like, oh my God, I never thought of this possibility. So allow yourself to not be stuck in the old ways of this is the only way that things can happen. Uh, like I just need money for this. Like, and maybe it's not money what you need. Maybe it's just aligning with what really, really what the you really want, and then suddenly something else happens and you're just open and you get an idea of how to get there. This is where the flashes of inspiration come. And another thing really important, please, please, please practice patience and timing. This is the kite formation, rewards persistence over speed. Real transformation is methodical. And this is again Mars leaving Virgo and moving into Libra. There's going to be this energy of method from the from the previous energetic energy of Virgo into the energy of how can this work for everybody. How can we do things that are not just selfish for ourselves, but how can we adjust to the changing environments and in our relationships in particular? So if we have done the Venus Pluto work in the first week really carefully and assessing why our relationships are working and where they're not working, and we're able to navigate that and weed out what's not working. And sometimes that even means letting go of friendships, letting go of bosses, letting go of jobs, letting go of partners in some occasions, letting go of things that we need to let go of, or just pure and simply letting go of old habitual patterns of relationship that are codependent, that are all about trying to please and not say the truth, or manipulation, when you try to get something out of manipulation. All of that is not going to cut it this time. So, because what we could experience is things like that during the first week, that they will see it, we'll be able to see the dysfunction. So, in that respect, we can be more honest with ourselves. Where have we been manipulating? Where have we been overpowering? Where have we been jealous? Where have we been over controlling? And then when we start releasing, like, I don't need this, or that, we start to allow space for things that are more aligned to come into our reality. So that is for that. Now, here we're going to have the full moon in Aquarius, where it's carrying these energies that I've been talking about, and this other energy now where the point of the so we have uh Mars in the point of this, the lower point of the kite, pull, pulling the energy opposite to Saturn and Neptune that want to ground a new dream and a new reality, but we do need a lot of adjustment. And then there's this other point where Pluto is the point of this other grand kite, and pulling, and Mercury pulling also into the transformation of this. And we have also Lilith that I've been talking about, that's going to be opposing Chiron as well. So all this, the energy of tension that I've spoken about, of why we're not able to move forward just yet, is because we need to let go of the old identity that is the one that, if we go into the new reality with the old identity or the old patterns, we're not going to be able to actually move forward and embrace the total newness or the total possibility of the unlimited potential of the universe and our minds. So at this time, we need to be able to heal that and look at that very honestly. This is a great opportunity. So I would say during this full moon portal where we are releasing those old patterns, we need to look at a few things. So the first thing we're going to look at is speaking from the heart, but releasing the ego battles. This means if we have been having a lot of frustrated desires, which again from Lilith, that we saw Lilith in Scorpio, and where we might find depths of conditioning and frustration, and stubbornness about this is what I want, this is who I am, but we don't even know who we are. And it's not about letting others define who we are, it's about ourselves being honest with who we are, and then being able to speak from the heart, saying this is who I am, and it's not, I'm not imposing my being, I'm just being who I am. So we must choose authenticity over defensiveness. The defensive says, someone tries to tell me you're this, you're that, and then we're defensive, like no, and then there's battles, right? This is really about saying, in my alignment, my truest, deepest alignment of soul, this is what I like to experience. This is who I am at the deepest core. And can we have a conversation around this so that we can all be who we are without trying to control, manipulate, or change anybody else? And this is part of that Mars in Libra action, is how can we still, be with others, but be completely honestly ourselves. So, two, use insights strategically. So, Uranus offers breakthroughs. Like I told you, Uranus and Mercury here in the sextile is we gotta stop, because it's not just the insight and we just let it pass. If we have an insight, pay attention to it. Pay attention to dreams at this time. Very important, because Mercury will also be aligning in a trine to Neptune and Saturn. So dreams. By this time, Mercury will have been already leaving the retrograde. So this is like August 11th is like, hello, new ideas. Hello, new dreams. Hello, new possibilities. So see how you paying attention to dreams. It could be dreams in the dream time. So this is a good time to have a dream journal, because when you wake up in the morning, this is something I do, and I know this could be silly, but sometimes I just take my phone and just record the dream, blah 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 blah. I speak into the recording, so I'm not like fully totally awake yet, so it's very fresh. And then later I read it, or I transcribe it, and then I just uh see what that could mean for me. um and and these dreams might give you pointers or ideas of what you truly want, and what wants to be birthed, and what's really in alignment with your soul. Sometimes it could be something completely radically crazy, but we don't know, or it's just a flash of the inspiration. So at this time, inspiration and dreams are very important, more than turning that dream into the reality right now. That's not what we're doing right now. Right now we're how do you say that, like nurturing the dream, or we're like cocooning the dream. We're uh gestating the dream. That's the we're in the gestation phase of the dream, and we have a little bit of you'll see that your reality might give you some tastes of these possibilities and how that could really be, but it will only be in like February next year, where we'll go, these tasters I had, I'm gonna go full on with this. So that's why be patient. Apply the insights, apply them to social or relational contexts for impact. So what this means is that whatever you are going to receive, if it's not aligned with some kind of benefit for society, then it's still attached to just your personal ego drive. And a benefit for society could be like, I don't know, you receive an insight of how to improve the quality of water. I don't know, and you're a water engineer, and suddenly you have this great vision. But instead of going like, oh, I'm gonna do this for profit and like make something so I can get money out of people, but you go like, oh, how can I create something or a device to improve the water quality? I'm just saying this because of a lot of cancer energy and water energy, whatever. But let's say this is something that comes into the awareness, and you're this inventor person, and or even just a businessman, and you decide that this is worth doing, but maybe to first benefit communities in need, and then you do it from that space of true benefit for others. Then what happens is that this energy that comes from the desire to help and share, from our true gifts and excitement, this desire for service to the whole will just amplify the movement of energy, will amplify the movement of resources, will amplify the connections, and that's what truly catalyzes transformation. So this is why it's important to notice if these insights are coming from a a selfish place or an ego place, or they're coming from a place that will truly benefit the world. And it could be small things. It's not necessarily the big thing that's going to change the world, but these little things that are realigned aligned to your soul. And they will be like deep inspirations, almost like I cannot not do this if it's going to provide some kind of benefit to the whole. The third thing is act with grace and timing. So Mars in Libra favors diplomacy. So firm but elegant moves win. This is just like a way of saying that Mars is directive. In Libra, it tends to not be very strong because it's more of like a indecisive. Do I go there, here? I want to please everybody. Is everybody okay? But what's important here is using diplomacy. Is it's being able to know when to say things, when to act, when to hold off, and having that capacity to just like use a little bit of restraint. Why? Because Mars in trine with Uranus will want to move really quickly. This is where things open up. There's an opportunity, we jump in it. So yes, I said again, yes, jump into opportunities, but time them right. If you don't feel completely ready, maybe this is not the time to fully commit to something, but do make those steps or those movements without rocking the boat too much. This is not the time for creating conflict. It's the time for assessing what will be more beneficial for all. So, acting with grace. Allow mental detox. So, this is Pluto's influence, clears outdated narratives. Can't stress it out enough. Journaling and conscious communication help. Can't stress enough that this is the key point of this time. Is how we communicate consciously, kindly, and genuinely and authentically with our surroundings. I've been starting to practice this. Is extremely difficult for me, and the way I do it is, interestingly, it's like I just kind of share these videos vulnerably, so that's part of that. But in my interpersonal relationships, I'm like, oh, I gotta do this. I gotta really speak from my heart and say what's really in my mind. Oh my God, how am I gonna do this? But that's gonna be recipe for winning, for true connection. And five, aim for collective benefit. Again, align words and actions with community transformation, not just personal validation. So if what you want is only to get gain for yourself and there's nothing for others, then it's not going to be helpful. This energy might be kind of like wonky, and then we might be tripping ourselves to not really reaching what could be a really beautiful capacity to reach better goals and better alignments with people, places, things that are really, really going to be beneficial to us in the future or in the upcoming years, to say the least. We won't be seeing these radical transformations until probably mid 2026, 2027. So, but what we're seeing now and what we're releasing now, like I said, the I'm not really emphasizing too much the the new moon, the full moon per se. But what I do have to say about this energy is that this whole energy portal of releasing old habitual patterns, old things, and really propelling ourselves into the new possibilities or the seeds, which again, the seeding points of the moon in Aquarius is seeding the point for a transformation of society. So when we seed those transformational seeds into the ground at this point in this month, we will see those in 6 months, or we might see later on in next year where these seeds that we're seeding, and the full moon is obviously releasing, so we're seeding new energies with Aries energy, with the new things that are coming. We're releasing things, but as we release old things, we're also seeding new things. And when releasing the old patterns, we're necessarily seeding the new self. So this is why it's like a dual process, where every time we think about what we want to build and what we want to create, and if we had to adjust it, especially during this time of retrogrades until um, at least for a few months, we're going to be, at least until December, we're going to be readjusting everything that we've done up to now. And that may mean complete revamping, complete reholding of existence, or it might mean deep, big readjustments. So, well, that's kind of that. And then, yeah, I mean, this is like the main energies I wanted to talk about, like these strong energies of this month, where we will be having a lot of disruption, maybe fear, and but also a lot of possibilities opening up and moving forward, and a lot of supportive energy that says yes, you can do this. So I'm going to give you just this little key things to keep reflecting on. So the first one would be like with the first kite formation is massive transformational energy channeled into practical methodical action. The Grand Trine in air will fuel innovation and systemic reinvention, so allowing yourself to reinvent yourself through your capacity. to your mind. The Saturn Neptune opposition reminds you that dreams need grounded steps. We cannot just dream big and do nothing. Mercury retrograde opposition Pluto clears old mental ego patterns, clearing the clutter, and then favors disciplined creativity and patient integration of visionary goals. Uh, then the second kite formation is the collective transformation, so that will be happening in the next years to come, flows through the voice, through the mind, and through our relationships. We cannot avoid that. We need to be able to create collectives, to create relationships and networks. This is very important. So Mercury opposition Pluto brings high stake conversations, and ego tests will be really tested in how much we can let go of our ego and aligned to truth, all the while holding a vision of connectivity for a better society. Three, sextiles to Uranus and Mars support brilliant ideas and cooperative strategies in action. So we'll find a lot of insight on how to do things together. This is great. Just take advantage of it. This encourages turning the thought and speech into socially impactful movements. Again, like I said, whatever you come in at this time from your insights might be seeds for huge transformations in society later. So don't discard those. And then we'll have the other T squared to Lilith, which is this is the energy of disruption at this time, which is adds the shadow integration, the taboo, the truth, and the raw creative power to this Mercury Pluto kite, where we have this transformational patterns. Well, with Lilith, we're going to have the authenticity coming through like there's no tomorrow, and the need to integrate the shadow and really see where we have not acted in integrity or where there's still dysfunction. There might be hidden fears coming up, desires and vulnerabilities, and we need to give them an expressive outlet. So we're not ending up projecting onto others. We can give it an expressive outlet through art, through chant, through spoken word, through journaling, through whatever, or through just speaking with people that you trust and love that will hold space for you. That's said. Or a therapist if you need that. There's potential from transformational storytelling, magnetic communications, and deep emotional impact. So, like I said, if you're gonna do a little bit of of using the words to transform your reality, you can do this through some drama, like use art. I always say use art so you're not caught in the drama of life. So this is a time where you could use some art therapy as well. I don't like to call it therapy, but where you go to do something very creative that will give you an outlet for speaking and for releasing. And then the it rewards authenticity, shadow work, and courage to face raw truths without ego defensiveness. This is Lilith in its rawest power. So here you have it. A lot of this is what we're gonna have these 2 weeks. So great energies, a lot of movement, a lot of possibility, a lot of new things coming. You better be flexible. You better be really wanting to adapt to the new realities forming and be a player in the new reality forming, not be a passive observer of world around you changing, you doing nothing. You are a creator, you are the creator of your reality, your inside, your power creates reality. So let's get into that boat, people, the boat of we all create reality from our authentic truth, our authentic selves, and our authentic connection to a divine higher source. So, whatever you need to do at this time to connect to that higher divine source, do that. I'm telling you, I'm doing it. It requires some discipline, and but it's worth doing it. Even 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day doesn't have to take your whole day, but that's crucial at this time, and I will encourage you to do it. Please, 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 breathing. And we all can create a beautiful reality. Okay, enough of that. Blah, 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 as usual. If it's a lot of blah blah. Please let me know in the comments if you felt that the audio is better than my previous videos. I really wanna. I'm testing my new equipment and I'm so happy about it. So just making sure this is an upgrade to our communication. And please let me know in the comments how these 2 weeks uh, are unfolding for you. If you feel like also sharing your Mercury retrograde stories like I shared mine, please do. This helps the collective energy. Just is the sharing is also important because this is how we can say, well, you know what, I went through this. And and someone reading the comments might go, oh, I went through this too. This is how we connect to each other and create a more compassive, compassionate community where we can say, hey, we're all having issues. No one here is perfect. No one has all the truth imbued in them. We're all in the same boat and we're all doing it. So anyway, thank you so much. I will see you in the next video. I love you. Bye.